How does everything appear then, is my. Do you have nice hair, do I it's all. I knew very little about him. That simply isn't true though, I'm not certain. Precisely what will happen but. Certainly not. There are tales that subtly enter the backdrop for years nearly as. You can hear distant thunder but you can't. I see, then one day the storm breaks open at last, that's precisely what transpired when Ghislaine Maxwell, the woman in the middle of the Epstein empire, started to speak from behind jail walls and muttered a name the world never anticipated, not Meghan Markle. As an observer, not as an outsider, but as someone who, in accordance with Maxwell's own words, was much more intimate. More than anyone in the Epstein circle envisioned, for many years people thought. When Meghan first met Prince, her story started. Harry in 2016, however, Maxwell's disclosures allude to a deeper level, older and farther away. More concerning, a trail of redacted testimony, covert interactions, and a history that someone is in dire need someplace. Desired to be deleted, it's not tabloid gossip. This isn't rumors on the internet, this is a portion of the narrative that was kept secret. In closed files murmured in courts as well as hidden under classified markings, and that story starts today to develop, because in order to comprehend the reality of Meghan's unexpected ascent, her unanticipated entry into the world of royalty, and why does her name show up in the shadow of a situation featuring some of the most strong individuals, we must begin where initially everything was deleted, with the hours that are missing. Ghislaine Maxwell's testimony was made public. A surge of secrets was anticipated. Names, occasions, dates, and the type of information that has the potential to rock governments and households. However, what the received by the Globe was a document that appeared to have been assaulted by a black marker, whole paragraphs, whole pages, entire discussions lost within. In actuality, Maxwell spoke for more than 12 hours. Testimony was never exposed to daylight. 12 hours, just picture that, that's more time than a typical school day, longer than most people go to sleep at night, and each and every it's sealed away for a minute. References near the court transcript suggest that these redactions weren't made at random, these were deliberate removals, specific, so someone decided that it was so explosive and sensitive. Burial was the safest course of action. Moreover, this is where the narrative begins. Startling turn, during those hours that were lost. The hours that disappeared into a locked Meghan Markle's name in legal vaults supposedly showed up not in passing, not as a rumor, but in relation to what happened. Individuals as well as circles that are now at the heart of this developing crisis. Prior to when Meghan first met Harry, she was a duchess. Prior to her standing on the Buckingham Palace balcony, her name was purportedly included in a testimony the world was never supposed to hear. This is where the trail starts, and it leads straight to the following section of the puzzle. The instant Meghan was almost drove herself into the courtroom, extended prior to the royal wedding, prior to opera interviews and agreements with Netflix, Meghan Markle's name appeared somewhere no one had anticipated. The witness considerations for Roberts, Virginia. Virginia is among the key players in the Epstein case. Allegedly asked Meghan Markle to serve as a witness. Why? Because, according to Meghan, has first-hand knowledge of some people, especially Prince Andrew. Prior to Meghan joining the royal lineage, this request was not fulfilled. From rumors, it originated with a woman whose testimony assisted in revealing one of the largest criminal networks in contemporary the past. If Virginia Roberts thought, given that Meghan possessed information, Meghan was the closest person to Andrew's world, openly acknowledged, according to sources Virginia. Didn't request Meghan since she was renowned, she inquired since Meghan had purportedly in social settings, wherein Andrew Maxwell and other conversed in private regarding This was a nightmare for legal teams. Meghan being called as a witness would have forced her upbringing, her connections, and her initial relationships under the harshest, brightest spotlight conceivable. However, such was never the case. Somewhere someone ensured that door remained closed, and that leads us to one of the most unsettling assertions of all: the personal confessions of Ghislaine Maxwell regarding Meghan's former identity and the name she supposedly passed, as stated by Meghan Maxwell's remarks while incarcerated. Markle went by a different name in Flower when she was younger, not a stage name, not the name of a movie character set, but a mature use of an alias. Venues for entertainment and private social rings that functioned far from the brilliant lights of Hollywood. Maxwell says she was acquainted with Meghan, but in the courteous, detached manner in which celebrities asserted to get to know one another, but in a manner that implies that their worlds overlapped long before Meghan ever considered royalty in Britain, the purported moniker. Some of the guests used flowers, performers as well as connections within habitats connected by Epstein, it was muttered on guest lists in back rooms, particularly among those whose way of existence worked behind the velvet curtain of opulence and discretion. To a little girl wishing to be famous, this planet may have appeared attractive, strong, or thrilling. However, Maxwell claimed that this reality was anything but secure, and what disturbs the moniker itself isn't investigators. That's what the moniker suggests. Meghan was accustomed to the setting. There was Meghan, and Meghan travelled in circles until overlapped with Fergie, Andrew, and people involved in the controversy. If this is indeed everything is altered, it implies Meghan did not accidentally enter the royal world by accident. She didn't go in the exterior of Buckingham Palace, she entered it from the darkness of the monarchy has spent years in the world attempting to disassociate itself, for comprehend how Meghan's journey led to royal realm long before she encountered Harry. We must enter the realm of royal boxes, special invitations, and calm hallways where titles are not as important rather than relationships, according to several sources who are acquainted with that period. Meghan was familiar with the orbit in relation to Prince Andrew, not in the capacity of friend rather than as a royal visitor, but as someone who emerged from the periphery of exclusive events in the from the 2000s to the early 2010s. Prince Andrew regularly went to events with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, banquets, private events, and charity galas. These weren't locations where typical people just strolled in, everybody either hand-selected or tied to a powerful person. Additionally, those peaceful nooks Meghan supposedly showed up. She wasn't a duchess yet, she wasn't well known yet, but she was an actress attempting to go up the ladder, getting about in a world where introductions were more important than resumes. This isn't regarding her romantic relationship with, although it's never said, Andrew, about her being near enough to see the environment, the people, and the unsaid. The room's regulations, according to sources. Meghan was introduced at this time to a number of characters that moved with ease between New York, Hollywood, and the royal circles. More significantly, she engaged with individuals who were also connected to Maxwell and Andrew. It wasn't news on the front page, it wasn't even a footnote, it was merely a silent presence behind one that would eventually become extremely important when Meghan was requested by Virginia Roberts as a witness since those early. Meghan saw more as a result of interactions, heard and understood more than they ever envisioned by the public. Additionally, if Andrew was the entrance to these rings, then was there another person standing next to them? Him, someone who spent more time getting to know Meghan than no royal has ever been admitted, each major. There is a secret character in the story, someone who works in the background pulling strings silently as everyone looks on. The incorrect individuals in this narrative that Sarah Ferguson, who is well known to as Fergie in the world, the former spouse of Andrew, has been connected to the royal family forever, through controversy, money and children. However, insiders claim that Fergie played a far larger part in Meghan's early, closer to the royal circle than most people are aware of this. For many years the public thought Fergie and Meghan had only met right prior to the royal nuptials, a pleasant, orderly, brief tale. However, the reality sources assert that Fergie was acquainted with Meghan before the engagement ever took place. She was present at numerous of the same exclusive occasions where Meghan made a fleeting appearance. She was close to Maxwell and Epstein in the height of their power. She went through the identical guest lists, the same quiet yacht circles, places where secrets spread more quickly than champagne, according to several reports. Fergie's competition for Maxwell's position, attempting to exert influence in the same network of influential and affluent guys. This has nothing to do with rivalry or jealousy. It has to do with access. Fergie recognized the value of being close to influential people. Moreover, Meghan was a teenage actress who had aspirations and a readiness to participate in the rooms where her career might take a different turn. However, another layer exists as well. Fergie's body was later obstructed, according to sources, Meghan from becoming overly intimate with Andrew. Once Meghan's profile began to grow, whether it was rivalry or defense, no one can state with certainty. However, what is evident is this: Fergie was acquainted with Meghan. Fergie had witnessed Meghan's world. Fergie as well recognized the relationships Meghan had prior to the remaining members of the royal family ever discovered her name, and that results in everything goes straight to the night altered, the evening Meghan's path crossed with Harry's in a manner that appeared spontaneous, albeit it might not have been. Should the dark ocean was the Epstein circle. Soho House beneath the seas was there. Above it a dazzling boat floated, glamorous, exclusive and constantly full, with the appropriate individuals at the appropriate moment. And there was a man in the center of this world. Ron Burkle, a billionaire with relationships ranging from Hollywood executives to families in politics, to figures that subtly overlapped with the social ecosystem of Maxwell. The Soho House was more than just a club for members. It was an networking device, one that shifted professions, refined reputations and linked up-and-coming stars to elite groups at incredible speed. Additionally, this is where the tale of Meghan Markle takes a abrupt turn. Soho House in April of 2015 established a new facility in Istanbul. It wasn't merely a celebration, it was an assembly of wealthy, powerful and charismatic individuals and aspirations. Prince Harry as well as this occasion was attended by Prince Charles, and Meghan Markle was also present. Let's say a friend invited her. Some claim Burkle himself organized specific introductions. However, what everyone appears to concur that Harry's meeting at Soho House wasn't a chance coincidence. It was ideal environment, the lights, the music and the glitzy audience, the feeling of being selected, a moment created by the actual environment. after a year Meghan abruptly changed her name from actress to from Hollywood hopeful to humanitarian, from blossom to refined worldwide figure, to the future Duchess, and a lot of folks silently questioned who assisted her in making that change, who unlocked the doors, who led her, because people don't get up that fast without a hand behind them. Additionally, based on murmurs coming from within the circles that attended that particular weekend, the hand, it might not have been just Soho behind Meghan. Home, it might have been too far away. Older, much more potent networks, ones. Something Maxwell mentioned during her testimony, prior to the blackout of certain pages. When the query is posed, why does Meghan's name appear in files that have been redacted? Perhaps it has nothing to do with Meghan at all. Everything, according to several sources, the redactions are not shielding the actress Meghan. They are safeguarding those who placed her in some circles: strong males, powerful donors, foreign financiers, Hollywood names, and New York, London, and the nearby royal networks. If Meghan had been in these settings as a young lady, even for a moment, she may have seen or heard embarrassing stuff much higher up the pyramid. Additionally, this is where the stress increases due to insiders claim that Meghan carries recollections, relationships, and dialogues that pose a serious risk in the incorrect hands, not because she desired them but because she was present. She observed the faces, the whispers reached her ears, she recognized the dynamics of the spaces she came in. Thus the redactions failed to seal her name, since she poses a danger. They sealed her name due to her witness. Additionally, witnesses, particularly those who go on to become duchesses, must be handled, directed, and controlled. In this, Meghan's quick ascent wasn't a fairy tale story, it was a position, an arrangement, a tactic intended to lift her out of the surroundings where she began. However, when someone rises that quickly, another to face them force rises, a force committed to defending the monarchy against everything associated with the Epstein period. Silence is the norm inside the royal family. Rule, discipline is a way of life, and reputation is crucial. This is the reason the present conflict between William and Harry is unrelated to his sister competition. It has to do with safety. According to people close to the palace, one corporation has been drawn by Prince William boundary. He won't let Meghan return within the inner circle of the royal family, not because of public disputes, not as a result of media appearances, however, because of her history. Those secret chambers, those strong circles, the hours that were deleted carry a storm he won't allow to go close to the monarchy once more. The conflict turned into evident when Prince Andrew attempted to attend a Balmoral church service. William faced the circumstance directly: he comes or I come, and Andrew departed. That provides some insight. Vital: William will no longer put up with the remains of the former Epstein interconnected world, not Fergie, not Andrew. Because nobody whose past is connected to the same social network. Meghan, to William, is more than an outsider. She is a who is overly knowledgeable about circles. The monarchy is attempting to remove its past eternity. He is not engaged in combat with Harry. He is battling the past of Harry's marriage into the shadows of history. William used to vanished. However, no shadow is more or darker than, more symbolic than Meghan's trek supposedly started, a location murmured about, never discussed in public, but continuously recalled by those who were there. There is an origin moment for every story. A moment that stays out of the news. A moment that initially appears insignificant, simply a calm waves, a warm night, and shimmering lights bouncing off the sea. However, years later, that occasion turns into the Spark that clarifies everything, for that moment Meghan is said to have started on a boat, not a vacation, not a vacation, but one of those privileged, invitation-only events were influential. Unspoken regulations, silent agreements and men, all combined beneath the cover of at night on one of these yachts, based on those who are acquainted with those social groups that Meghan first joined, the world she would subsequently be charged with becoming very familiar, a world in which destinies were altered by introductions. It all came down to appearances, favors were traded in silence, young ladies were observed, examined and positioned, just picture it. The pricey perfume and the calming music in the atmosphere, the clinking of glasses, and Flower, a young actress, standing in the golden sunshine. She was unaware that every face she encountered, her future would be shaped by that night. After that, Meghan was no longer merely an actress, she was the powerful were aware of someone they seen, someone they discreetly moved away from one circle to another, and after several years, upon entering Harry's life, she didn't appear out of the blue, she arrived as someone who had travelled the world before. He was shielded all of his life from the redactions are important because of this. Virginia Roberts desired her because of this. As a witness, for this reason Maxwell's waves of shock are produced by statements. Additionally, that is the reason the royal family currently stands split, since Meghan Markle isn't risky because of what she did, she's risky given what she is aware of. Additionally, as from jail cells more voices are heard. Sealed papers, courtrooms and the storm that began on that yacht is rising. Once more, at this point the question is not whether Meghan's history will come to light. How much more of it is the question. At last the world is prepared to hear.